Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, January 22nd. We are intraday right now, and we're going to do a hybrid trade ideas and quick overview of the market video. We didn't do our usual Tuesday market recap video yesterday just because with the holiday on Monday, really not a lot had changed. Even at this point, not a lot has changed since Friday's market update from us, but we're going to take a quick spin through the averages. We're going to look at some trade ideas. This video is sponsored and powered by our friends over at Investors Business Daily. We're curating ideas from their stock list, so we're going to be looking at some trade ideas from some of the lists that they maintain over there. Go check them out. There's a link in the description of this video. So before we look at any trade ideas, let's just take a quick pulse here on the markets. We'll start with the S&P 500. This is the cash market. We're looking at the daily time frame, and you can see so this week has only been 2 trading days. It's Wednesday, only 2 trading days because Monday was the holiday. So you can see we started off the week a little bit lower here yesterday, closed down about 1/4%, and you can see today we're a little bit up over 1/4%. So we're continuing in this uptrend. You can see ranges have compressed here greatly over yesterday and today. We're trading at all-time highs. Volatility's down. Uptrend is in place. It's really kind of the same story that we've been looking at here. The low vol sort of grind higher for the markets is continuing to take place. Of course, we are in earnings season right now. We got some big hitters this week, so we'll continue to monitor how the market reacts to some of these earnings. But so far, the S&P 500 is comfortable sort of grinding higher here. It's not getting that perhaps what some were expecting, which would be a sharp, sudden drop on earnings as some of these names started to report, and maybe some of the wind would come out of the market sales. Again, that could happen when we start to get more into the thick of some of the large cap tech names that really drive this market now in these major indices. But so far, that hasn't happened just yet. Now, one of the themes and stories we talked about in Friday's recap video was the IWM putting in its best week in 6 months or so. And when we look here at the performance of the IWM this week, it started off with this gap lower. So we're actually retracing here in the short term. We filled the gap up that we saw on Thursday, and now you can see Friday. Those dates are all correct. So we filled the gap that we had on Thursday, which was yesterday, and now today you can see we're just putting in an inside session so far. Of course, I'm recording this as the market's still open, so we can this might change here by the close, but so far we've got an inside day brewing here for the Russell 2000, and if we did start to resolve this lower, then that might be a small change of character there that we'll have to keep an eye on for the Russell. So far, though, it's still more or less holding the uptrends. Short-term momentum lost a little bit here with Tuesday's gap down, but all in all, we're still kind of holding up and still acting quite well here for the Russell 2000. Last but not least on our tour around the markets is the NASDAQ 100 continues to power higher here. It's riding the upper edge of this channel that it's been in here. You can see that it basically, didn't even really stutter or stumble out of the gates this week. It just continued to grind higher here. So the NASDAQ 100 into earnings season is continuing to perform, grind higher, and that momentum is not waning at this time. So that's the landscape, still looking quite strong. VIX is subdued. Obviously, we're due for a pullback at any time, but for now we got to enjoy this uptrend, and the strength that we've seen is persisting here into earnings season. So let's jump into some names now. We're looking at 4 names, 2 from IBD's list, 2 from our watch list. First here is something that is really extended, but it caught my eye here on IBD's list, and this is ACMR. I'm not sure what the exact catalyst here the headline story is. I haven't done enough research that far on this stock, but it is very extended. But I just wanted to present this as something that's seeing an incredible surge here. So it's basically in just about since December lows here, it's up 250%. So you're talking about a 250% move here in about 2.5 months. Now, this is this is a micro cap name. We're talking about a company that's under $1 billion, still a large company, generally speaking here, $500-600 million company. But, it is still under $1 billion here. So it's not like we're seeing, it's not like we're seeing a several billion-dollar move. Still, though, move here, very impressive. Volume pouring in here suggests, just that accumulation, that urgency to get in. So for you momentum traders in here, again, not advocating at all a chase here, but this is something where you may want to pay attention here because this story is pretty hot right now. And if you do get a pullback into the upper 30s or 40s, or even just a reset to the 10 period simple moving average, which I don't have drawn here on this chart, you might even get a shot there at continuing in this really high flying name right now, ACMR. So that's the first one there. Found that through IBD's list, and just something that is quite interesting, at least just from a price trend market pricing discovery interest more than an actionable trade idea right now. So ACMR, there it is. Number 2 here from IBD's list is PLMR. And this one here, certainly a slower name. This comes from the insurance space, but when we look here, it is a recent IPO. This IPO'd in April of 2019. It's basically just been completely up and to the right here. It's been working itself higher, but meaningful now is this consolidation here. So in December of 2019, so the end of last year, we did kind of top out here and started to pull back. We found some support in the upper 40s. It's starting to lift up a bit today here. So the fact that this has been in such a strong uptrend, good demand coming out of the IPO offering, and the fact that now it is finally consolidated for at least a couple of months here does start to look pretty interesting. It's breaking some short-term trend lines here today, just over the past 2 weeks or so. So you got kind of a day one move here if you're a short-term trader. Otherwise, maybe over 55 starts to look more interesting as it breaks to new highs. So keep it on the watch list. Younger issue name, slower space, but looks pretty interesting there. 2 more names. These 2 come from our watch list. So the first one here, AAXN. This one here is getting a good move today. It's up almost 5.5%, breaking out to new all-time highs. If we zoom out here and take a look at this pattern, if we just look at a monthly chart, it's been around for quite a while. So IPO'd in the kind of .com boom there a little bit later, kind of caught the end of it where the destruction sort of happened. But this is recently, formed this massive consolidation really in 04 after topping out around $36. This went absolutely nowhere for 12 years, consolidating, going sideways, just kind of fueling up, and just in 2018 is when it started to get the breakout to new all-time highs, and now you can see again it's starting to resolve this 2-year long base or 1.5 year long base upwards and breaking out to those new highs. So AAXN, this one does, can go to sleep here for a while, but it is gathering up momentum. Good move for it today, breaking out of a nice clean sort of 2-year sideways range. So it's something to pay attention to. Last but not least is CRSP. This comes from our watch list, and this is actually an active trade that we currently have on in our Merlin strategy. So this is CRISPR Therapeutics. It's a biotech name, so again, a little more risky here. It's a smaller cap biotech, low float, so you got to be careful on that. But when we look here at, and that basically means position size is very important. When we look here at CRISPR, though, we can see that it had this nice move from October all the way up into December, into really just a month and a half of trading. It basically doubled in its price. And biotech during this time, this was the strong biotech run we had right into the end of 2019. So this kind of followed suit to what the major indices did. Of course, this one did it a little bit faster with a doubling of its stock price, but needless to say, it is still kind of in consolidation mode now. It's pulling back here. It's working off this momentum, this surge that it saw just 3 months ago, and recently we had just picked this up here, so it is an active long holding for us, basically where it's trading right now. We picked it up under $59. It's trading in the upper 58s, so not too far of where we own it right here. But like the potential here for this to be flattening out, for demand to be showing up around $58. Again, it's still, if you're a momentum trader, if you need more proof here, then it hasn't shown you that just yet. You'd have to be waiting for a little bit more conviction here. You'd actually look for that breakout over, $61 or so. If you're waiting for that momentum, if you're waiting for more clear signals, then that makes total sense. And you'd want to be looking at that trend line, or even all the way back up here if it starts breaking over some of this prior supply. But we like it here. We like it on this pullback, slightly lower risk entry point. Got to give it some room, and you have to know what you're dealing with. So again, mind your position size when you're trading something like this, any of those types of individual biotech stocks. But for now, we own it, looking for higher prices, and we'll see how this progresses. So that's it. That's what we got for this week's video. Only had 4 trade ideas, but we covered a little bit on the markets there. And again, remember, double check your earnings dates, because we do have earnings season, which we're in the midst of right now. So thanks so much, as always, for tuning in and watching. You can subscribe on our YouTube channel or follow us at The Trade Risk. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here on Friday for the market recap video.